That whole thing up there is full of parts. I got that belt right there, that safety belt. I got. Okay, y'all, good morning, good morning. It's Saturday morning, a couple days after Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a, good Thanksgiving with their family and all. I ate good, man. I haven't worked in a couple of days. Well, I just been doing stuff around the house. Yesterday, I spent the whole day cleaning out my garage. I've been needing to do that for, well, over a year now. Because when I had the shop built, I was running everything out of my garage. And so I was just getting the stuff that I needed for the shop, and all the other stuff I just left in the garage. And well, if I haven't needed it in 2 years, then my thinking is always, well, if I haven't used it in 2 years, then I probably don't need it. Because, some things I don't like to throw away. I don't like to throw away any steel equipment that don't run, because there's always parts. I don't like to throw away any pieces of steel, whether it be nuts and bolts. I'll never throw none of that away, especially if it's a grade 8 or something. And pieces of steel, oh, I keep all the pieces of steel. But I have a lot of equipment, like old Milwaukee stuff, where I bought, when my pallet guy had all that Milwaukee stuff. Of course, he's out of business now. It's funny how I see people go into business, come and go in this business and in other businesses, especially like that kind of business where it's a lot of cash business. And restaurants around here, oh my God, in some of the locations there's been 10 restaurants and I've still been in business, the same business, and there's been 10 different restaurants in one location, and that's all over down here where I live at. But I bought a bunch of the Milwaukee stuff, good and bad, off of the pallet guy, and I got a couple of the main part, the power head, that's what it is, the power head, like for the pole saw and the hedge trimmers, and well, they're broke, and I've been on the fence about throwing them away, and I want to make sure that they're broke and it wasn't just a bad battery, blah blah blah. So I have those in the, I never did bring them up to the shop because I got 2 of them up here in the shop too that I use. And I don't know if those work or not. I can't remember. I know one of them don't. There's 3 of them in there. I know one of them don't because it's all pulled apart. But I ain't thrown none of that away until yesterday. I just, I had to throw some of this stuff away because I don't like having a bunch of junk around. Though I do like having pieces of steel and stuff, so I can, fabricate some little, rough things that I may need or whatever. So I never throw away pieces of steel. Having a welder and a plasma cutter, pieces of steel are, where am I going to go get a piece of channel this long? I'm not nowhere. You're going to have to buy a 20-foot piece at $300. So I like having, that stuff around, and I got a pretty good bit of it laying around outside the shop. And pieces of steel don't have to be inside either. So, but I'm gonna run down here and do, well, probably about $250 worth this morning, real quick. Just gonna hit 2 sites just to kind of, because they're kind of out of the way, and I just kind of working a little bit toward getting things ready so next week I'll have the time to do some skid steer work. I'm definitely going to be doing one of the skid steer jobs next week, and may end up doing more than one. We just kind of see. I don't know about the labor and all. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it. Now this might be a job where a mulching mower would come in handy, right? It would be, because the leaves are not that thick. But when you look at you know, the scale that I do leaf cleanups and stuff, it's not worthy of dedicating a mower to it. Not for what I do. So everything's been blowed out. I won't have to crank the blower up again. Now it's just do it with the mower. And this is an empty property, so I know I'm going to have to come at least one more time. If you look up in the trees, you see all the leaves still here. So now we're going to get on the X mark and we're going to do the do, y'all. But I will say that this is a good one probably for a mulching mower. But if I got 80 yards and only 3 of them would be handy to have a mulching mower, I mean, how can I invest in that, right? You got to look at that, man. At least I do. I'm just telling y'all my thinking, man. So let me get on the mower. I'll try to set the camera up somewhere where I can get some, where y'all can watch this X mark move these leaves. Now, another thing that I do too, since I don't have a mulching mower, and it ain't that I can't get one or whatever. I got 4 mowers and I could easily dedicate one for mulching, but I don't really like the way well, you're limited when you're in the summertime, and I don't like having to take the kits on and off and all that. It's not worth it to me for what you get for what I do. I said what I do here where I live at. But what I do is when I'm trying to mulch up, and I'll mulch some of these up, and well, I'll mulch them all up, and y'all see, I'll push them to the wood line. But what I do is I will drop the guard down, you know, and that will give a little more friction before the leaves get out, you know, shoot out. And that does help some, because it shoots them straight into the ground. But it doesn't do as good as a mulching mower, but I don't have to do all the other stuff either. So that's my definition of being able to mulch and not suck up a bunch of time, and be able to mulch and blow the leaves at the same time. So y'all see the leaves over there are not that thick, but I'm going to show y'all how good the X mark does. I'm probably going to put y'all on that. Well, I might put y'all on the truck, man, and I'm gonna try to stay focused, because a lot of times I put the camera somewhere and then I don't stay as focused as I need to, because I'll be in the back and coming around the front, you know. What I would do if I didn't have the camera is I would just go around and around the house, making the house the center of the donut, just like I would the leaves. And then when I get over here to this fence right here, I have already assessed that I can mulch that up and shoot it back across the driveway. So the first thing I'll do is when I get the lawnmower set, is I'll come down this side of that gravel driveway, and I'll go right down that fence, shooting them over into the other side of the yard. Now we know that there's a look. Y'all see, there's a lot more leaves coming down right here, so there's no sense in getting too detailed. But I blew out around that tree where all those big roots are. See, if you got a rookie over here, and I send him over here, and he doesn't know this yard, and I send him over here, and he's not paying attention when he has been over here, and I say, yeah, man, go on and go over to the blah blah yard, and then next thing you know, I'll get a call where they done bent the blade or broke a spindle hitting a root right there because they can't see them. you got to be able to remember the yards, and you know, I do. It's what I do, and not to mention, I'm the one that has to pay for a mower when it goes down. So that's a huge motivator, right? So. Okay, y'all, so done with that one. Did pretty good over here. About 35 to 45 minutes, something like that. 120 bucks, man. You know, it's all right. But I'm solo. You know, I don't really have to, you know, I don't have any expenses in it other than fuel in the, about $3, about a gallon of fuel in the truck. And shoot, the mower probably a gallon, maybe. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other two that are downtown here. Going to get so then that'll be all three of these. And a lot of the reason why I'm doing it like this is they're all the same customer. And you know what I try to do is I try to I want to invoice them all at the same time. You know, I don't just invoice one or two. I like to invoice 10 of them, right? So I let them build up, and then considering I don't have no labor out here and I ain't got nothing else really going on that I can do today, why not, right? Well, Ray, you need to be at home spending time with your family. Well, my wife's at work. You know, yeah. So I spent the whole day home yesterday. I need to be, you know, getting things ready for next week. That's how, you know, that's the life of somebody self-employed. But when it comes to blowing some of this stuff, you know, the leaves and stuff, see, when you got guys out here that haven't done it before or don't know a lot about it, they think they do, but you get them out here and then, you know, they don't know how to work with the lawnmower. If you got a helper on the ground and you're doing little cleanups like this, you know, and I know most people up north, y'all clean up, this is nothing for you guys. I mean, you guys got big boy leaves because y'all got a lot of shade in the yards that y'all do because y'all got, you know, fescue grass. And we don't have any of that down here for the most part. Now, in the old area that I'm in now, there are a lot of leaves. But see, I know that on the next two that I do, they're a business. Well, one of them's an empty property and the other one's in one of their offices. Well, when I get over here and do these, you got to kind of, I do them together. So they're all, well, there's two separate properties, but you use one to help out with the other one because one of them has a lot of gravel, has a parking area, and has a lot of big trees, right? And there's not a lot of grass. And then the other one's just the opposite. There's a lot of grass, not a lot of grass, but you know, about as much as is here, and but there's not a whole lot of leaves. So what I do is I blow from one property to the other property and then mulch them up. And when you got guys out here that have never done that before or don't have a lot of experience at it, they don't know how to work with the mower. They can't, you know, figure out, okay, I need to get these leaves blowed out because he's cutting this part right here. And so if the quicker I get the leaves blowed out, you know, to a line there, then I can then him on the mower can go on and get them and help me get them over there. Instead, what they'll be doing, they'll be away on the other side of the property or something somewhere, unless you tell them. You know, the goal is to get it neat. And the quickest way, you can't have the mower sitting around waiting on you to blow. You know, I mean, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to people that don't do this for a living. But the mower does not need to be sitting around running and waiting on someone. And well, a lot of time, most of the time, what that does is that holds the mower guy up, because, well, he can't cut that grass over there until you get the leaves from over here onto that grass. Because if he cuts that grass now, then you come back and blow those leaves out. Now what? See, I know it seems like everybody knows what the hell they're doing out here. And I know, Ray, it's just this, it's just simple. But I think it's simple too. But you'd be surprised at what kind of issues I've had out here with guys working out here that don't know that. That can't decipher, okay, that even after I tell them the plan when they're in the truck, they still can't. You know, they get tunnel syndrome and they're blowing wherever the leaves are, and they're just blowing. They're working, but they're not working like they should. And then I get real frustrated with that, because I'm thinking, damn, man, you ought to know that you got to blow all this out before I can cut the grass. Now I'm waiting on you. And you holding me up, right? While you're over there blowing something that's inconsequential, that you could blow while I'm mowing the yard. But now I can't mow the yard until you blow that stuff out. So for me, solo's not so bad because I know that I know exactly what to do. So a lot of times it doesn't take me that much longer to do the property as if I had somebody out here this time of year. And then you factor in the weather where it's cool. You know, I can do a lot more work when it's cool than when it's hot. So yeah, but I just, you know, and it ain't a dig at nobody. They don't know what they don't know, and we all have to learn what we're doing, right? And everybody does things a little bit different. But common sense, if you're, you know, in the context of you know, cleaning up these yards in a acceptable amount of time, common sense would tell you that you need to blow out where the mower's going to be going first before you blow out where the mower's not going to go. You gotta be blowing, and if you got to blow this out, and the only place to blow it is into the yard that the mower's got to cut, then that's the first thing you do. You know, so the mower can be doing work while you're, you know, I call it playing around the rest of the property. The mower does not need to be idle and waiting on somebody to blow. That's all. So I got a couple messages here I'm gonna have to check. Deuces, y'all. So that's all I'm gonna do today. It's 2 o'clock. Of course, I didn't get started till after 10. What we get, 370 bucks today. It's all right. 50 in fuel, 320. You know, 300 solo. Yeah, I use that for fuel for the whole week. So I talked to, well, this week's gonna be a good week, and it ain't gonna be a lot of mowing. We might do some mowing on Tuesday or so, just to wrap up the ones that, like the ones I did today. They're all a part of some more that I need to do too, in order just to send an invoice to for all of them, because they're all the same customer. So they are pretty good paying. I probably got another day of mowing, and then I might stretch it into 2. It's according to how much, I don't know. We might be able to do some of the, you know, a skid steer job and do some mowing. I don't know, but I'm ready to start making some different money. I'm having to work pretty hard for the lawn money. It's not taking me a long time because I'm very methodical, but it's, well, I'm burnt out on it, really. You know, it's really mind over matter at this point. I don't mind and it don't matter. So at the end of the day, it's just about getting them done, making the money from them, and getting to the point of where I don't have to do lawns anymore. But I saw where the customer, the pond bank customer, where I did that pond, they commented on the video. Now, a lot of my customers know I do YouTube, and some of them don't. And I don't really, you know, advertise either way. But a lot of them see me with a camera on their property, and some of them will say, "Hey, if you're doing social media, I don't want you to post my property." And I say, "Okay," and those are the ones you guys don't see. But that project over there, I knew. Well, I feel like I know them, and you know, and they're good people, man, and I didn't feel like they would care. I'm not really, you know, I'm not showing their house or their address or them at all. It's just me working on a job, and it could be one of 100 different locations. So some people are funny about it. Some people don't mind. In today's world of social media and everything, and Facebook and everything, I can usually tell which ones might have a problem with it, which ones might not. If somebody's not on Facebook and not on any social media, then they probably are not going to be as open to me filming. But most of the customers don't mind, and I know the videos sometimes come off a little bit hardcore or anti-customer, but it's really I don't intend for that to be like that. I'm going to pin their comment, but yeah, and they know a lot of the people that I know, and so yeah, they're friends, you know, more so than just customers. But yeah, man, it's they're very happy with the project over there, and me too. I felt like, well, it's been something I was wanting to do for a while. It was just about me approaching them at the right time, when I had the time, they had the money, and you know, a lot of times the stars got to align, you know. And that job paid me good. I'm not, you know, there's a lot of customers that I have that are wanting to do something like that, but they don't know that I know how to do that kind of thing, or that I have the experience to where they'll trust me. See, these people know people that I know, and they know me too, and they've been my regular customer for hell 4 or 5 years now. So you know, most of the customers that they don't come in the comments, and you know, because you know, if you're not in this business, man, you know, and the project ain't at your house, you know, I mean, I was glad I was able to do that job for them. It paid good, and they're good customers to work for, because they didn't really, you know, they didn't really, you know, a lot of customers standing out there watching every little bitty thing, and you know, I don't like that, man, because I don't work well under those circumstances. Though I'm going to do the job the same way. What happens when customers stand there and watch me on especially dropping trees and stuff, is they start asking me questions, and then I end up slipping. I slip up on something that, you know, and you know, maybe tying it off right, or you know, cutting it too deep on the back cut to where it falls without me pushing it, and you know, things like that, you know, and especially when I'm doing rigging and all, roping and all, you got to be thinking about what you're doing. There were 10 different ways I could have took them trees down, you know, and I had committed to one way in my head, and when people start talking to me, especially customers, where they're, you know, standing over me, if you will, I don't like working for people like that. They're going, number one thing that a customer has to have of a contractor like me anyway, is they got to trust me. They got to trust my judgment, and because I have a lot to lose too. Now, if you get, you know, Sammy Sausage Head out there, and he ain't vested in his business, and he don't have the equipment, and everything's a rental and all that, that's a sign that you better watch out. Guys that own equipment like I own, they are vested. So they're usually, you know, not all the time, but they're usually going to be a lot more proactive, safer, and all those things because they got more experience usually. Now, sometimes, you know, people that rent equipment, they're usually a homeowner and they don't have the experience that a guy like me has with the same piece of equipment. You know, if I'm hiring somebody and the price is the same, I'm hiring him that has to go rent the equipment or him that owns the equipment. Who am I going to hire? I mean, who am I going to hire? Even if the money is the same, even if the guy that has to go rent it a little bit cheaper, because I'm going to think, for me, now everybody's not going to think like this, but for me, I'm going to think that because he has to go rent the equipment that he doesn't, that he's not, well, he's not vested, and he's not, you know, he's not risking anything, see? And if there's no risk from the contractor, then, or minimal risk, then I'm going to more likely go with a contractor, even if they cost a little bit more, that where there is a risk, you know. It's be like me hiring somebody to cut my grass. Am I going to hire somebody to cut my grass that has to go rent a lawnmower and don't have a trailer? Or am I going to hire somebody that's got a setup? And I'm just talking about for me. I'm going to hire somebody that's got the setup. Now, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're better or worse. That just means that going in, I'm going to feel better because I'm going to feel like, well, they're vested in it. They've been doing this long enough and got enough experience to where they've got all this equipment. So, yeah. And that's the same way I think about skid steer and tree work too. Though anybody can make mistakes on these jobs that y'all see me do. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Y'all know what it is. It's Sammy Absurdity. Deuces.